Let me present my talk now. Okay. Today my talk title is Infinite Parallel Plates Algorithm, abbreviated as IPP algorithm. I am from Gwangju Institute of Science and Technology in Korea. Let me introduce at first probabilistic potential theory, because my whole research is based on this probabilistic potential theory. If you understand this, that will help you understand better my talk. According to probabilistic potential theory, there is one-to-one correspondence between a partial differential operator and a diffusion process. A typical example is the correspondence between the homogeneous and isotropic Brownian motion and the Laplacian operator. If you see this theorem called Feynman-Kac algorithm, let's say we have an initial value problem right here. The initial value is given by this f of x. Now let's see the solution form at time t at location x. And this solution depends on the diffusion process, the path integral of the diffusion process. And x of t, that this diffusion process corresponds to the differential operator. Also, there's another algorithm for Dirichlet boundary value problem. And so here, L is the same differential operator. And so if you have that boundary value, and you can solve the differential equation using this solution form at the point x inside the domain. Also, this solution is given by the diffusion process x. For example, if you solve a Laplace differential equation on two-dimensional boundary value problems here, and if you want to get solution at the point x inside the domain, you can simulate a diffusion process inside this domain and until the diffusion hits the boundary. So we record this boundary points and we repeat this. And if you check the average of this boundary value problems, you can get the solution at the point x. This is kind of generalized harmony property of the Laplacian operator. And also, if you know the correspondence between diffusion process and electrostatics, and that'll help you better. Because using diffusion process, we can solve differential equation problems, but many diffusion processes can be obtained by the electrostatic problems. So there is an equivalence between force passive probability distribution and the Green's function of the Laplacian electrostatic problem. So here, u of x is expressed as the boundary integration according to the force passive probability distribution P. The diffusion process starts at the point x and it hits the boundary point y. So there's another representation in electrostatics in terms of an integral over the boundary. And so right here, the solution inside the domain is right here, and this corresponding P of the force passive probability distribution to the surface Green function in electrostatic problem. And also, we can scale the potential. And so we can see the correspondence between the electrostatic potential and the force passive probability phi of r. And so right here. And also, there's another example of the correspondence between the force passive problem and the electrostatic problem. Right here, if we have a sphere, conducting sphere, and so if you put a charge at the center of the sphere the induced charge distribution over the spherical surface will be uniform. This corresponds to the forced passage probability. If you start the random walker from the center, the forced passage probability over the spherical surface will be uniform too. Also, here's another example. If you know the solution to the problem, electrostatic problem, if you have an infinite conducting plane and if you put a charge, a Q, and apart from the infinite plane, we see that there is a induced charge on the infinite plane. And so this corresponds to the diffusion problem. If you put a random walker at the location of the charge Q, and if you see the forced passage probability on the infinite plane, that will be the same to the induced charge distribution of the electrostatic problem. Let's go into the main topic, and let's see the infinite parallel problem. And for this infinite parallel plates, conducting plates, there is no closed form in electrostatics. There is only a series solution for this induced charge distribution on the infinite parallel plates. So that means what? It's not easy to use the induced charge distribution in diffusion problem. So if you use the conventional Wilkins-Fields algorithm, you have to use the epsilon layer on the infinite parallel plates. And so the average number of random diffusion jumps will be like this, depending on the epsilon layer. Also, the running time will increase exponentially if you increase the epsilon layer linearly. And so this is the error convergence for the Wilkins-Fields results, and according to the epsilon, and we can see the behavior of two error sources, the intrinsic Monte Carlo error and the epsilon layer error. And so we used the acceptance rejection method and the series solution to sample the forced passage points on the parallel plates. And this is error convergence, and also using this acceptance rejection functions. And so we successfully sampled forced passage probability distribution on the infinite planes. And so also we compare the performance. And so of course, our new algorithm is much better than the conventional Wilkins-Fields algorithm. In conclusion, we implemented parallel plates algorithm for diffusion process successfully, and we removed the epsilon layer using the series solution and acceptance rejection method. And of course, the infinite parallel plates algorithm is better than the Wilkins-Fields algorithm. Thanks for your listening.